so one of the best ways to help to create balance in your hip is to balance and do a hip lift. So if you, I'd like you to hang off of a stair, but because I want you to maybe do this with me right now, I'm gonna say that when you balance, you can kick your leg back like this. So when you kick your leg back, you tend to engage the hamstring and the butt a little bit more. When you pull the knee forward, it tends to be more hip flexor and quad. Most people are already really dominant here. So that's why I like the leg being back here, because then it's gonna change. So if you can be on a step, that's why I want your leg to be straight, but we don't always have a step to step on. So with the leg back, I want you to think of lifting the hip up and then bringing the hip back down and then lifting the hip up. So then we'll switch and do the other leg. What I'm looking for is how much do you shift your hip over to balance? So if you're just alternating. So this side, it looked like I swayed over more and my hip stuck out. You want to try to use the side glute muscles, which are the exercises of the sideline leg series that I've done with you, keeping that hip lifted as you then lift the leg. Good. And then doing one more each side. Yep. So then on one leg, you can hold on. You can do this without holding on if you want, but if you're wobbling all over the place and you can't even do the exercise, then I want you to hold on. So I'm hiking my left hip up and then coming down. I don't know what this looks like on the video. It's probably looking like I'm doing my right, but just reverse it if that's the case. What I should be doing is using my right butt to push the right butt down to lift the left hip and coming down. You have QL muscles that are in the back here that you might be lifting from there, and that's not what I want you to be lifting from. You're gonna have to make sure you're not tucking under and pushing here to then do this. You wanna have your hips back above your heel enough that you can use your glute and then work your side glute. That's why side lying legs is great to start to strengthen this, but then the application is how well can you lift the hip and then put it back down and then lifting the hip from the one that you're standing on. So when you do balance, you should be feeling the leg that you're standing on more than the leg you're moving. So then we'll switch and do the other side. Try not to sink out. See how that's out? You want to try to tuck it in, keep the hips from twisting, to then let the other hip lift up, and I'm pushing down and then coming down. What we sometimes need is tactile cueing, where our fingers come into the muscles that we want to get using, and this is a time that you might have to cue your butt. But if you're too tight in your butt, you have to learn how to release it. So then tighten it, releasing it, and learning how to make it on and off, to make it off, so then you can turn it on to then when you do exercise. Doing it in a mirror or even in like a shadow or something, you'll be able to see your alignment more, because there's a ton of ways to compensate here. When you stand on one leg, can you feel your butt, or are you right into the quad? So back to the side lying legs, and while that's so great, is because that's easier to change the dynamic versus us standing and walking most of our lives and changing this dynamic. So this is great for working your side hips and trying not to be in your back. If you get good enough, if you can have one hand in the side and then the other hand in that QL, and see if that QL is engaging on the back. It connects the top of your pelvis, your hip here, up to your ribs, and so a lot of times that's where people's back pain is this QL, and that's muscular. Luckily, there's not nerve that runs there, so it's not of main concern, but it's really painful. And that's also when I use the Yamana balls to release that, which will be in a different video. Hope this helps.